Hi, I'm Arthur. I will be talking about the straw bale fire behavior today. Straw bale construction is gaining popularity not only because of the globally increased interest in building green, but also because of the vast spectrum of benefits straw bale offers. Straw bale constructions are strong, durable, aesthetically pleasing, and inexpensive to build. It is energy efficient due to phenomenal thermal insulation value, better than that of conventional building materials like concrete and brick. Straw bale buildings are also naturally outstanding in the soundproofing department. But when it comes to fire, many people will question the ability of straw bale constructions to withstand a fire. People would imagine straw bale construction to be highly combustible, like blue straw itself. However, similar to tightly packed phone book, straw bale is a compact that it deprives the fire of oxygen, a necessary component for fire. Objectives. It may seem absurd to state that straw bale is resistant to fire, as loose straw is highly flammable. However, in order to produce fire, fuel emission source, and most importantly, oxygen is required. Straw in the form of bale is so compressed that the oxygen content in the bale is drastically reduced to allow minimal flammability. More importantly, straw bale is rarely left exposed and is often plastered, which further increases its fire resistance. Even when provided with the characteristics of straw bale and the principle of fire, financial institution and insurance company refuse to fund and insure straw bale construction, solely due to their conservative nature and their reluctance to risk. To encourage and educate individuals with doubts towards the use of straw bale as a construction material, the authors of the article I selected for my research provided people with test results to cease skepticism. In fact, straw bale walls were said to have a higher fire resistance value than that of conventional wood stud walls. Methodology. 3 fire tests were performed on straw bale in the articles I selected, 2 of which were the same fire tests conducted by Intertek, but different plaster materials were used. Lime plaster for the 2-hour fire resistance test and earth plaster for 1-hour fire resistance test. The 3rd fire test performed by Bob Thea's article took on a slightly different strategy, and straw bale was left unplastered. With the test being tested on both plastered and unplastered form of straw bale, it was useful to help people understand different fire behaviors of straw bale. These fire tests aim to determine the fire resistance of straw bale, meaning the time a fire can exist on one side of the wall before enough heat is transmitted through the wall to ignite materials on the other side. In their Intertek 2-hour fire resistance test, a 10 feet by 10 feet non-load-bearing wall was constructed with 7.5 PC and rectangular wooden straw bale stacked in a unbroken pattern. Each side of the wall was blanketed with a 17-gauge galvanized silver stucco, reinforced in mesh. 2 half layers of stucco was applied to the straw bale using hand trowels. The stucco mix consisted of 1 part lime, 3 parts Portland cement, 10 parts sand and water to create a workable consistency. The rendered wall was then left to set for 36 days prior to the fire testing. To justify the requirements of ASTM 119, 9 thermal couples were installed and distributed evenly across the unexposed surface of the wall to measure the temperature increment throughout the course of the fire test. The test wall was then positioned in front of a vertical wall furnace, which allowed the rendered straw bale wall to be uniformly exposed to the specified time temperature conditions. During the course of the fire test, visual observation of the straw bale wall were made. At the end of the 2-hour test period, the furnace was extinguished and the test wall was positioned into place to undergo the whole stream test. For a 2-hour fire resistance wall, the duration of the whole stream test is to be 2.5 minutes for every 100 feet squared exposed area. To meet the conditions of acceptance, the wall must withstand the fire endurance and cold stream test without passage of flame or gases hot enough to ignite cotton waste. The wall construction shall be considered to have failed the whole stream test if water leakage develops on the unexposed surface during the period of the whole stream test. The corner test on unplastered bills conducted at Richmond Field Station of University of California State in the article by Bob Diaz was intended to simulate the impact of a burning water basket on the walls of an adjacent corner. Observations of the fire test were made to record the effect of a burning waste basket on the unplastered straw bale wall. Findings. Throughout the duration of the Intertech fire duration test, the internal temperature of the furnace reached a maximum of 1010 degrees Celsius, and the average temperature of unexposed surface did not raise more than 139 degrees Celsius, nor any individual temperature more than 163 degrees Celsius above its initial temperature. Some observations were made during the span of the fire test. Some smoke emerged from the smoke cracks on the exposed side within the first 15 minutes, and an increase in the amount of cracks, and some flaming appeared on the exposed side during the course of the test. The wall withstood the fire endurance and the whole stream test without passage of flame or gases hot enough to ignite cotton waste. As a result, the rendered straw bale wall successfully met the condition of acceptance as outlined in ASTM B119 fire tests of building construction materials of a fire endurance rating of 2 hours. The other Intertech test resistance test with earth plaster had gone through the same test procedure as the line test straw bale wall and have received a 1-hour endurance rating. A 1-hour wall means that it has the ability to keep a fire heating the exposed side to over 840 degrees Celsius from heating the opposite side of the wall 139 degrees Celsius over its initial temperature for 1 hour, and the same would apply to a 2-hour fire endurance rating. In the Richmond Field Station of the University of California corner test, fire experts stated that the straw bale wall's fire performance is comparable to how drywall performs in a corner test. When the unplastered straw bale wall was exposed to the fire source that simulates a burning waste basket, the surface of the bales charred rapidly. However, no evidence effect happened after the charring. When the corner test is over, the charred bales were removed from the test chamber to the dumpster. When doing so, the bales fell apart, and the sparks inside the straw then had sufficient oxygen to ignite and grow into open flame. Recommendations. Bob Diaz, the author of Straw Bale Fire Safety article, gave 5 examples of plastered straw bales passing fire resistance tests. In addition, the Intertech fire endurance test further proved line plastered straw bale walls to have a 2-hour resistance, and earth plastered straw bale walls to have a 1-hour resistance during a fire. We now know that the plastered straw bale walls have excellent resistance to fire. However, most occurrence of the straw bale fires happen during the construction of straw bale building, where loose straw on the ground gets ignited by construction activities, which ignited loose straw of an adjacent wall that had yet to be plastered. Therefore, it is crucial to make sure that the loose straw on the ground gets removed continuously during the construction until walls are plastered. It is also crucial to get straw bales plastered as soon as possible. In a few other incidents, fire smoldered in spaces between bales, making it difficult or even impossible to extinguish the fire with a water hose. In most of these modern cases, significant portions of a sound wall were demolished just to put out the fire in the gaps. To make sure smoldering between cracks does not happen, all gaps between the straw bales and framing must be stuffed with clay-coated straw to reduce the ability to smolder. Lastly, pressurized water hose must be readily available everywhere on site, and must be within 1 minute access to make the difference in controlling the start of a fire.